We are about to begin the last little chapter in this book. And before I continue reading, let's remember why we're learning about drugs. Well, we're learning about them because we need to know not only refusal techniques or ways to say no to drugs, but we need to know why. And we need to know that some drugs, like medications, are often needed if we're sick and a doctor prescribes them, and that they can be dangerous if we don't follow the instructions or if we don't read carefully the label on the medication. But if taken properly, then they can help us and help us feel a lot better, and at times they are needed. But then there are illegal drugs that are never helpful at all for us. In fact, they can be very harmful to your body. Not only can they cause some damage to your brain, remember the way you think, you act, and you feel, but it could have serious consequences and long-term side effects on your brain and your concentration and your ability to think and make wise decisions and clear choices. It can affect your heart and your lungs. Drugs can cause cancer, like smoking can cause cancer, but so can other things too, not just smoking. But we do need to know that drugs can affect how our heart beats, and it can throw off its natural beat, its natural rhythm, and cause it to speed up too much. It can affect all the organs inside of you, from your liver to your kidney to your heart to your lungs to your pancreas, any part of your body. So we need to know that drugs are serious and they are harmful to your body, and that if you're ever tempted regarding an illegal substance, then you need to have the courage and the confidence and the words to know how to get out of that situation. So let's keep going, because we left off with Sammy Snake here, and we left off with the characters making wise choices on how to refuse the cigarette that Sammy is offering them. So they did make some good choices. But while they were talking to Sammy, one of the characters, Gilly Groundhog, walked away, which is a great refusal technique, to walk away. But as he's walking away, he's wandering off into the forest. And when I turn the page here, we discovered that nobody knew where he was. So let's keep reading. Part 4, A Busy Time. Everyone looked around in surprise. Where was Gilly? She was right here a minute ago. Maury looked around so confused. She must have left when we were talking to Sammy Snake. Sammy was trying to talk us into smoking. Maybe she got frightened, he added. Sammy can be kind of scary when he doesn't get his own way. It's good that you said no to him. That shows real maturity. But right now we need to find Gilly. He turned to Busy and said urgently, We'll need you to fly back to the park to get one of the other leaders to help us. With a loud buzz, Busy was off. Meanwhile, unaware of the panic she was causing her friends, Gilly Groundhog was humming quietly to herself as she continued to pick up trash. In fact, she was so busy cleaning up that she didn't notice that she was walking deeper and deeper into the forest. Suddenly, Gilly looked up. Where am I? I've never been here before. Where is everybody else? She peered around the trees and bushes, looking for a glimpse of her friends. She closed her eyes and listened hard to see if she could hear them. Nothing. She was lost. Every path looked the same. Gilly sat down with a thump under a pine tree and tried to think. What should she do? Then she remembered something her mom taught her. If ever you are lost, stay put and wait for someone to find you. Gilly knew that if she kept going, she might get even more lost. So she forced herself to sit down under the tree and wait. Have you found her yet? Red Bear looked around at the campers in the clearing, hoping to see Gilly with them. But everyone just shook their heads. Meanwhile, Busy, who had flown back and forth to the Star Forest, was very tired after his long flight and very thirsty. Just then, he spotted a bottle of cola, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or root beer, that hadn't been picked up yet. Yes, just what I needed, he thought to himself. Usually his parents never let him have cola, but it was just going to be this once, and he was so thirsty. One sip was followed by many others, until Busy was feeling quite full. She also had another feeling he didn't quite like as much. He was feeling very jittery and anxious. His wings seemed to want to buzz by themselves. Just then, Red looked his way. Busy, we're going to need your help on this. Busy wanted to help, so she flew quickly over to Red and Terry. What can I do? What can I do? Tell me, what can I do? Busy flew in circles around the leaders' heads. Whoa, well, first, you'll need to settle down a bit. Your wings are going 1,000,000 miles a minute. Have you been eating or drinking something you shouldn't? Red Bear looked suspiciously at the tiny bee buzzing over his head. Only some cola, Busy said quickly, continuing to fly in dizzying circles. I found it over there. My parents don't let me usually have it. Busy admitted reluctantly, but I was really thirsty. Well, your parents likely don't allow you to have cola because it contains caffeine, Red explained. Caffeine is a drug that can do things to your body, like make you nervous or queasy. You'll need to calm down if you're going to help find Gilly, he added. Busy took several deep breaths and went over near some trees away from the group so that his flying around wouldn't bother anyone. Soon he began to feel very tired, much more tired than he had felt before. What Busy didn't realize was that he was still suffering from the after effects of caffeine. He desperately wanted to help in the search for Gilly, but he was no good to anyone the way he was. Busy just hung his head. He was embarrassed and ashamed. Just when his friends needed him the most, he was useless. Gilly was lost in the forest and he couldn't help find her. Busy promised himself that he would always check with an adult before drinking something with caffeine in it. Let's pause there before we continue on and have a look at the slide. And I've written to your right here some information about caffeine. Let's have a look at it. Well, I read in the story that caffeine is a drug. It's not illegal. Maybe you've had it in something that you've had to drink, like a dark or light cola. So cola refers to either Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, root beer is a cola, any of those pops that are dark colored. Does Sprite have caffeine? No. 7-Up? No. Iced tea? Yes. So tea and coffee also. Now, not all teas. There are some herbal teas or some light colored teas that don't have caffeine in it. But anything dark colored, and including chocolate has caffeine in it. And while caffeine is a drug, It's not illegal, but it still has side effects. And it can still cause us to feel jittery or hyper or anxious or have that fluttery stomach, just like Busy did. Have you ever had that feeling before where you've had something to eat or drink and you start to feel really hyper? Well, maybe it was caffeine. Maybe it was too much sugar. You have to be careful with these drinks too because they have a lot of sugar in them. Same with chocolate, a lot of sugar. And not only are these items, drinks and chocolate, stimulants that make your heart go faster and your mind move too fast for you, they also have a side effect where you start to feel really tired afterwards. So it's an up, 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 really hyper feeling, and then boom, kind of like a crash feeling where you feel really tired, sort of like Busy did. And energy drinks are something else we talk about in grade 3. And energy drinks have caffeine in them. They also have a lot of sugar, things like Red Bull. They're just too harmful for anybody, adults alone. I've never had them, neither should you. We don't need them. Sometimes in class, I'll have grade 3s asking me about, well, what about those sports drinks like Gatorade and Powerade? Do they have caffeine? Well, they have electrolytes in them. And if you're going to be working out on a really, really, really hot day and you've been really sweating at a soccer tournament, you may be offered a sport drink. Well, the best thing about sports drinks is to always mix it with water. So you could go half sports drink and half water. You want to dilute all of that sodium and sugar that is in that drink. And really, a better choice would be, you got it, water and oranges. Anyway, let's move on and see how the rest of this book ends. See you on the next slide.